I'll explain what is PCOS, what causes it, and what is the best diet for PCOS. After watching this video, you will know exactly what to do to reverse PCOS or polycystic ovary syndrome and lose excess weight. I will clear out any confusion that you may have. PCOS or polycystic ovary syndrome is one of the most common hormonal endocrine disorders in women. Around 1 in 10 women has PCOS in the UK. The most common symptoms of PCOS may include irregular periods or no periods at all, difficulty getting pregnant or infertility, severe PMS or premenstrual syndrome, symptoms such as mood swings, tiredness, and bloating. You may have cysts on your ovaries, excess hair growth, thinning hair, and hair loss from the head. So you get excessive hair all over your body, but you're losing hair on your head. Weight gain, especially around the midsection, oily skin or acne. And there are a lot more, but these are the main ones. And every woman may experience different symptoms. Some may have no symptoms at all. And it is commonly said that PCOS is associated with insulin resistance. Now, let's look closer to this association, because it might be holding the answer for reversing PCOS or polycystic ovary syndrome. Just look at this research paper. It's called "All Women with PCOS Should Be Treated for Insulin Resistance." Now, why is that? Overall, insulin resistance and hyperinsulinemia affect 65 to 70% of women with PCOS. 70 to 80% of obese women with PCOS are insulin resistant, and 20 to 25% of lean women with PCOS are insulin resistant. So if you're overweight and you have PCOS, you're certainly insulin resistant. And if you're normal weight, you might still be insulin resistant, but not as likely. And as always, there's a high chance that these numbers are underestimated. Other sources state that 95% of women with PCOS are insulin resistant. And if we look at this study, they compared women without PCOS, normal weight women with PCOS, and overweight women with PCOS. They found that all women with PCOS have elevated fasting insulin. So this gives us a lot of hints. All women with polycystic ovary syndrome have too much insulin, and most are insulin resistant. What is insulin resistance? Insulin resistance is a condition where you have too much insulin, and your body becomes resistant to it. It is estimated that someone who has insulin resistance could have 5 to 7 times more insulin. This means that your body has to work really hard to pump more insulin to be able to take glucose from the blood and deliver it to the cells, where it can be used as energy or stored for later. Insulin is like a key that lets glucose into the cells, and the key stops working properly for some reason. Someone who is insulin sensitive needs only a small amount of insulin, which is a much healthier state. With insulin resistance, you need a lot of insulin to push glucose into the cells. I'll come back to the cause of insulin resistance later in the video. Now, how is elevated insulin and insulin resistance involved in polycystic ovary syndrome or PCOS? And what are androgens? Androgens are hormones that contribute to growth and reproduction in both men and women. An example of an androgen could be testosterone. Androgens are often called male hormones, while both males and females produce androgens, just in different amounts. With PCOS, you have too many androgens that end up creating some of the traits seen in men. Things like excessive hair growth or changes in your voice. So what's the link between high androgens and insulin? Well, high androgens can be caused by high insulin. That's why they often treat you with metformin. Metformin helps to treat insulin resistance. How does excess insulin cause excess androgens? One of the ways is that increased insulin leads to increased luteinizing hormone, LH, that comes from a pituitary gland, which then goes to the ovaries and increases androgen production. Meaning more insulin leads to more luteinizing hormone, which leads to more androgens. The other mechanism how excess insulin causes excess androgens happens for the liver. Your liver is supposed to filter out excess androgens from your body. When you have high levels of insulin, you have fat accumulation in your liver. This decreases your liver's ability to filter it out. You end up having more free testosterone. If we look at the symptoms of insulin resistance and the symptoms of PCOS, we see that many of them are the same. These both conditions make you gain weight around the midsection. That's because insulin is the main fat storage hormone. When it's elevated, you store fat, especially around your belly. If you drastically reduce your insulin, you lose belly fat really quickly. Then next, hair thinning and hair loss from the head, also a symptom caused by high insulin. Insulin-resistant men often gain belly fat and lose their hair. So as we know that high insulin and insulin resistance is the primary cause of PCOS, how can we test this? If you would remove the ovaries, your androgens would normalize, but this would not reverse insulin resistance, and it would not reverse PCOS. If you would take medication that suppresses androgens, you still have elevated insulin and insulin resistance, and it would not reverse PCOS. And when you finally shift your focus into improving insulin resistance, you finally see improvements with PCOS. That's because that's the root cause of PCOS. It's excess insulin. How do you improve insulin resistance? We have to look at ways to lower insulin levels. When we compare eating versus not eating, we see that eating triggers insulin and not eating lowers insulin. The more time we can spend without eating, the more we can bring our insulin levels down. Intermittent fasting is one of the most powerful methods to lower insulin. Instead of having 5 to 6 meals with snacks a day, which would result in all day long elevated insulin levels, you reduce that to 2 to 3 meals a day. You can eat the same number of calories or have a tiny bit less, but your insulin levels will be a lot lower. If you practice this once or twice a week, where you have around 16 hours non-eating windows, you can greatly improve your insulin resistance. And if anyone ever tells you that not eating or skipping breakfast is unhealthy, just tell them to research autophagy, which is this amazing process of cellular rejuvenation. It happens when we don't eat. The body finally has time to repair itself instead of constantly digesting foods. And the second very important method to reduce insulin, reverse insulin resistance, which also happens to be the most effective sustainable weight loss method, is the low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet, or keto for short. Just look at the study for a second. A very low-fat, high-carb diet is marked in orange. The regular high-carb diet, low in saturated fat, is marked in red. And the low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet is marked in green. We can clearly see that the low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet is the most effective diet for lowering insulin levels and reversing insulin resistance. That's because from all macronutrients, fats have the least effects on your blood glucose and insulin. It keeps your blood glucose and insulin normal, while carbs spike your blood glucose and insulin the most, because carbs are sugars. Any type of starch or sugar will get broken down into glucose, which is a sugar. The only type of good carb for someone who is insulin resistant is fiber. Fiber from non-starchy veggies, nuts, seeds, and berries is totally fine. We need fiber for healthy, diverse microbiome, short-chain fatty acids, and synthesizing vitamins. Intermittent fasting and the low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet are the two best methods for reducing your insulin, reversing insulin resistance, and reversing PCOS. If you want to learn more about these two methods for reversing PCOS, check out my video about starting the low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet for reversing PCOS, and my another video about intermittent fasting. And if you're still not convinced that you need to lower your carbs and not your fats for reversing insulin resistance and PCOS, you should also watch my video where I explain the true cause of insulin resistance and take a deeper look at both theories. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more health-related videos. And share this video with someone who has PCOS. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.